So today, EA have made some comments about whether they will be supporting the Switch with more games moving forward. I just want to offer my thoughts on that, just because it is pretty much EA being typical EA towards Nintendo like always. So I just want to go on a bit of a rant towards EA, but let's just talk about what they had to say to Wall Street Journal. So pretty much EA said that they are waiting for the Switch to be on the market for a full year before they decide to bring more games over to the platform, which is a little bit hypocritical just because they never did the same with the PS4 and Xbox One. So that's just them being completely different towards Nintendo than Sony and Microsoft. They also said that it's too early for them to see whether FIFA 18 on the Switch is successful or not. And EA also said that they want to fully understand what the demand is for the system before it commits additional resources to the platform. So what do I think about this? Like what I said before, this is just EA being EA towards Nintendo. They always treat Nintendo differently than what they treat Microsoft and Sony, because they shown up day one on Xbox One, day one on PS4, but no. With the Switch is hot right now. Seriously, the install base is growing. I don't understand why they don't want to support the system with more of their games. I feel like they are approaching the system all wrong. They are waiting for the install base to be large enough for them to want to develop the system or to develop games for the system. But by that point, the audience isn't groomed to your games. The install base at that point will be groomed to Nintendo's games and what other third-party companies are bringing games out for the platform. It's like Bethesda. They are doing things spot on because they aren't just bringing over Doom and then waiting for that to sell in terms of whether they bring over Skyrim, or like the other way around it should have been, because they brought over Skyrim first. They announced Skyrim first. They didn't wait for Skyrim to sell before they brought over Doom and Wolfenstein 2. They committed to the Switch pretty much. And we heard, like back from E3 2016, you heard Todd Howard big up the Switch. And at that point, he probably knew that they were bringing over, Skyrim, Doom and Wolfenstein 2. I think they signed a deal with Nintendo to bring all of those games over to the platform, so they were bigging up the Switch to get Bethesda fans hyped up for the platform, so that those fans would pick up their games on that platform. You got Nintendo fans, they will be groomed towards Bethesda games just because you got an install base there, you got Bethesda showing up. They will buy Bethesda's games because there's barely any competition from the main third party companies, because EA and Activision, they aren't showing up, and Ubisoft, they aren't really bringing over their main IPs at this moment in time. They're only bringing over Monopoly, an old port of Rayman, and of course they brought over Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle. But Bethesda, they're bringing over their main IPs, so they are grooming the install base, the Switch install base, to their games. But EA, by the time that they actually wake up to the fact that they could actually make money from the system, it will be too late, because the install base will be groomed to other people's games. They should have shown up day one with Madden this year, as well as FIFA, and maybe Plants vs Zombies, and then the next year bring out a new game for the system. That's what they should have done, instead of waiting for the system to sell. It's like, what more do they want? The system's selling crazy numbers right now. It's like the Switch, it sold 100,000 units in Japan. That is incredible for a region where, console gamers, they don't really show up in Japan. But last week it sold 100,000 units. It's selling really, really well. So, EA, I think they're shooting themselves in the foot, and I feel like their next statement will be them backing away from the system. And it's more for them, pretty much. But is it really a loss that EA aren't showing up? I don't think it is, just because I don't feel like EA are talented. Like, I don't feel like they are making great games anymore. That's just my opinion. It's like Battlefront 2. Definitely doesn't feel as good as the old Battlefront 2. So, yeah, I think EA are being stupid. But in terms of their support for the Switch at this moment in time, they just brought over FIFA 18 and it are publishing Faye. which is from Zoink Games, which is an indie game. So that is the only 2 games that they are like actually publishing for the Switch. And in terms of FIFA 18, I don't think it will sell that much just because you got so many missing features. It sort of feels like a Wii U port to me. It really does. This is the sort of treatment we saw on the Wii U. So I've put in 40 hours into FIFA 18. I bought FIFA 18 because I thought the only missing feature pretty much was the journey. But no, the career mode's different. Ultimate Team has a missing mode in there as well. As a few other things. Of course, you can't play online with friends. So that set a really bad taste in the mouths of Switch owners just because EA... There's a lot of blame going around in the community saying that it was Nintendo's fault, even though you got other games on the platform that have the ability to play with friends online. I feel like with FIFA 18 it could have made more of an effort. For me, it just feels like an Xbox 360 version with better graphics. I feel like they should have included some of the non-Frostbite elements that the PS4 had, so like the replays. I pointed that stuff out in my FIFA 18 Switch versus PS4 non-Frostbite comparison. It's just more polished, like the presentation's just a lot better. For me, it just feels like what EA have done is just up-res the 360 version of FIFA 18 and that's it. And for me, that isn't good enough. And in terms of their support for the Switch, that is the only main game that they are bringing out. They aren't Bethesda, they weren't fully committed. And I just feel like EA, they're just going to turn around and just pull out like what they did with the Wii U again. And it will be more for them just because there's money sitting on the table for them if they actually made an effort, if they brought over Plants vs Zombies, which I think would sell well on a Nintendo platform. You got other of their games as well, which I'm sure would sell, like Madden, NBA. You got golf games that they do make, like they made a tennis game for the Wii. They could do the same for the Switch and use motion controls. So there's money sitting on the table for EA, but it's just EA being EA. I think they are approaching this wrong. I feel like they should bring over their games first, judge their sales numbers. If they are ports with no missing features, they run well, then people will pick up those games. People will pick up those games if you make an effort. What EA should have done was brought games over, put effort into those games, and then wait for those games to sell, and then judge whether to support the system with future games instead of just bringing over a game and then waiting to see what the system will be like in terms of the install base. I just feel like EA, they've approached things wrong. I just feel like they haven't even tried or wanted to try. That's what it's felt like for me. Yeah, I just feel like EA, they are approaching things wrong, and I feel like EA will pull out on the Switch sooner rather than later, or they will just bring over some stupid family party game and that's it. Like what they did with the Wii, they brought over flipping EA Fitness and stupid stuff like that. So that's just what I feel like that they are going to do. There's money sitting on the table for EA. It's just ridiculous. It really is ridiculous that they aren't supporting a system that is selling really well, because they've never done the same with the PS4 and Xbox One. So why treat the Switch different? Why treat it differently? That's just, I don't understand that. Really don't. I don't understand why Activision aren't jumping in either. They are missing a trick. They are missing, because people will be groomed to Doom. People will be groomed to other first-person shooters by the time they actually bring over a game like Call of Duty, or whether EA brings over Titanfall, like the next Titanfall. It's just EA, Activision, they should have shown their support from the flipping first year, but EA, they are waiting for the Switch to be on the market for a full year, and then they will decide to bring out games for it. But then it will take time for those games to be developed, and by the time those games will come out, they probably will be old. They probably will be an old port of like a 2016 game, and by that time, when that ever comes out, maybe that will be 2019, people just turn around and say, what's the point? What's the point? Bring out a flipping new game. It's too late. You're charging full price for this. It's too late. So I feel like EA, they are approaching things wrong. I'm going to stop this video now just because I'm just rambling at this point. But yeah, like what I said, I feel like EA, they are approaching support for the Switch really wrong. I feel like they should have made more of an effort with FIFA 18 on the Switch. That's just my opinion. They should have brought over more games to the platform as well, but that is it for this video. Let me know your thoughts about EA's comments in the comment section below. And yeah, we'll see you next time.